Good afternoon, I'm Vashan Brown with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. The attorney representing 55 Jamaicans aboard Royal Caribbean's Adventure of the Seas, Jennifer Hosen, is fuming this afternoon about the treatment of the Jamaicans. She says the government had almost 4 weeks to prepare for the re-entry of the Royal Caribbean cruise line members.
It is what the media should be pressing on the government to ask them, what is the clarity? What is the decision? What is happening with these people? And don't take from them, well, we're working on it. That is garbage. The government has said that from April 15, they've been in communication. And as of today, it comes down to the day when the ship arrives. You're going to do anything? It's not about what the law is going to do. This foolishness where people on Facebook and Twitter talking about, oh, why they're suing the government. Read the letter. I'm asking Andrew Holness, can you please tell 1,044 of your citizens who you represent? They're not PNP, they're not JLP, they're not NEP. They are citizens of Jamaica with constitutional rights, which the government must safeguard. What is your plan?
She says the government must now make a clear statement as to what will happen.
I need the government of Jamaica be clear and tell citizens who are on their way to their country, who had to turn back and go sit off the coast of another country, not even allowed to sit in the waters of their country, who have been in a cabin for 8 weeks without any personal contact. The only contact is their temperature being checked twice a day. They are going stir crazy. And that is where the question is. What is the Prime Minister's plan? Number one, is he letting them in or is he not? It's that simple. Yes or no? If yes, when? I don't even want to know the how.
In the meantime, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang told our news center last night that the government is examining its options as quarantine facilities are full. He says an announcement could be made later today.
We are examining that because given all that has happened and the comments we have made, we are examining that possibility. But I don't want to comment on it this evening. And I think, tomorrow is a normal Monday meetings. I'm sure the Prime Minister will indicate how we're moving. And if necessary to do so before the end of the day, before the conference, we certainly will. But critically, we have not rejected or abandoned any Jamaicans. But we have to do it in an ordered and structured manner, given the international pandemic. And therefore, we'll work with our public health team.
And Prime Minister Andrew Holness says by later this week, some quarantine facilities will be taken out of operation. He says when that is done, it will release resources to assist in managing the vessel and providing a safe and convenient re-entry experience for the Jamaicans. In a statement last night, Mr. Holness said the government was continuing its discussions with Royal Caribbean Cruise Line's Adventure of the Seas. Mr. Holness says Mr. Holness says it was always the intention of the government to accept the ship, but this can only be done when the resources are available. The Prime Minister says if it was the intention of the ship to sail into Jamaican waters without formal approval or even courtesy of notice while discussions are still ongoing, then this would represent a serious departure from good maritime practices and a serious breach of good faith and the cooperative nature of the dialogue taking place. Meanwhile, former senior medical officer at the Savannah Lamar Hospital in Westmoreland, Dr. Alfred Dawes, says the government must not allow itself to be strong-armed by Royal Caribbean. Dr. Dawes says it was wrong of the cruise line to want to enter Jamaican waters without approval.
What is happening is that it is a large multinational company that is holding a big stick over our head because of their market capitalization, because of how much we benefit from their cruise ships coming to Jamaica. They are now deciding that they're going to send home their workers to offload their burdens, and they have a responsibility to take care of their workers. They're going to send them to Jamaica now and make it seem as if it is really an altruistic mission that they have committed a ship to repatriate these workers. If it is really an altruistic mission, then the plan B should simply be that the ship be docked in Jamaica so that we can satisfy our local requirements for quarantine measures before the passengers are offloaded.
Dr. Dawes says the government cannot afford to take the risk of allowing the Jamaicans to enter without undergoing the 14-day quarantine to satisfy local health requirements.
Because we cannot take what they say for at face value. The last time we had cruise ship workers who were supposedly cleared, we had 6 positive tests, and we simply cannot, at the stage when we are tentatively reopening the country, when we're looking at restarting the economy, when we have done so well in flattening our curve and limiting the number of deaths and ICU admissions, there's no overburdening of the hospitals more than 2 months into the epidemic in Jamaica.
Meanwhile, the opposition People's National Party is questioning the logistical operations of the government to repatriate Jamaicans overseas while dealing with COVID-19 related issues. Opposition spokesperson on Foreign Affairs Lisa Hanna raised the issue at a press conference yesterday.
If you all remember when the earthquake happened in Haiti, the Jamaican army was sent to Haiti to help the Haitian government deal with logistics in that crisis. Why hasn't the army been called out? No. Who is managing the protocols here? These are questions the Jamaican people really need to ask. Where's the Red Cross? Where's the Social Development Commission? The opposition has been asking that.
For opposition spokesman on national security Fitz Jackson, the states of public emergency had a negative impact on the operations of the Jamaica Defense Force.
We already know that with almost half of the country on a state of emergency, which has been watered down to nothing. We see since the Disaster Risk Management Act came into effect that they have been unable to provide logistics across the country. And it reinforced the point that the opposition has been making, that the states of national emergency has been overused, it has been diluted, and it has brought our capacity to deal with emergencies down to unacceptable levels.
And amidst concerns about the Jamaicans stranded on ships overseas since the COVID-19 pandemic, Ms. Hanna points to an emerging pattern from the Andrew Holness-led administration.
We saw the same thing when the Jamaican students were in China asking to come home. We've seen the same thing with other Jamaicans, the fishermen who were out there. It almost appears as if the government, or this particular government with our nationals, it's a pattern that is emerging, because somehow when our nationals are overseas, they seem to be forgotten about. And we're seeing another trend. The trend, and it concerns me, our farm workers are being sent overseas. Are they being protected? Are they being protected? What happens if one of them over there dies from COVID?
We now take a break on the midday news, but please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Continuing the news now. The budget has been cut by $15 billion, but the health ministry is getting more funds to lead the COVID-19 response. It's one of the few ministries to get an increase in its budget. Dashan Hendricks has been looking at the changes.
Shifting spending here and there and cutting where no other solution is possible, the government has had to make changes to its expenditure plans as it seeks to realign what it's spending with falling revenues due to the impact COVID-19 is having on the economy. But there are some ministries which got a general increase in budgetary allocation, even though there may be one or two areas in the same ministry which had to deal with budget cuts. The health ministry is one such. Funds for spending on the delivery of health services has been surgically cut, but for the COVID-19 response, its budget has been increased and is now $6 billion, far outweighing the $2.8 billion it told a parliamentary committee it had to spend. Over at the Office of the Prime Minister, cuts as well. While that office had to give up $2.5 billion of its capital budget, there were some areas which did not get touched. That includes the $50 million allocated for a school sanitization project, an important project now with COVID-19. For the COVID-19 response at the OPM, $189 million is set aside to spend through the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. The National Environment and Planning Agency's work to prepare development plans and orders, however, got a budget cut of more than half. $17 million is all that remains of the $37 million that was set aside for doing so. Its ability to monitor air quality has also been affected, with a $30 million budget slashed to $10 million. But PATH beneficiaries will get more, with funds shifted from the Education Ministry and an increase in the allocation, putting an additional $2.3 billion in the hands of those who get the welfare assistance.
As the tourism sector prepares to reopen following major losses due to COVID-19, this afternoon we look at another aspect of the industry, community tourism. Krista Campbell reports.
While players in the tourism industry count their losses from COVID-19 and prepare for a reopening of the sector, those involved in community tourism are positioning themselves to earn more than they have before the pandemic. A pioneer in that area of tourism, Diana McIntyre Pike, has been promoting the idea of villages as businesses, and she says it has great potential for export.
Can you imagine? You blow their mind going in a hotel and enjoying it. And then when any of them relatives overseas want to come, they say, man, you have to go this place, because and they give the details. They're the best marketing ambassadors you could ever have. They're the ones that market what we do. So we must give them an incentive and give them commission, just like a travel agent. 10% commission for whatever they whatever business they can bring.
And as community tourism players prepare to benefit from a boom in business once visitors start traveling again, she wants to reintroduce the concept of dryland tourism vacations and tours.
The dryland means residential tours and vacations, side by side with the foreign promotion. Some hotels have been doing it. I know Sandals has been doing it, but I want to see it being done in a major way, so that the communities, for example, can take a vacation here and be able to afford it. And if not, we can identify sponsors to help them. This is where we can come in and help.
She laments the limited government support, which she says would have put community tourism in a much better place than it is now. She points to a proposal for community tourism centers, starting initially with 18 communities. She says if that proposal had been approved, those areas would have been outfitted with equipment and technology that would be helpful in the work from home and online learning directives brought about by COVID-19. But she notes that because business has slowed significantly, she has been able to make closer connections between communities and hotels. And she's been getting other support.
The fact that we have this positive relationship with the UWI Open Campus, who has given us certification for entrepreneurship training and has just recently signed an MOU with us, even before the virus, to set up webinars and online entrepreneurship training that will earn us funding and to help the communities so that they can move forward independently to manage their community as a business. So we are ready, more ready than most people, because we have a network.
Meanwhile, despite having to lay off a few workers because of declining business, Roger Foster, who runs a healthy lifestyle business in Mandeville, Manchester, says he's prepared to capitalize on the importance of his business, especially in the face of a pandemic.
Turmeric capsule, turmeric powder, cayenne pepper capsule, cayenne pepper powder. We have the spirulina. We have all sorts of herbs, from golden seal to chaparral to all the hard-to-get herbs.
Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
The Jamaica Public Service Company JPS customers will see an average increase of about 7.43% on electricity bills they receive this month. The JPS says this is primarily because of the slide in the value of the Jamaican dollar against its U.S. counterpart. In a statement, the JPS said this means that the average customer who consistently uses 165 kilowatts per hour monthly will pay about $483 more on their bill. Customers whose energy whose energy usage rose will see a greater increase. The JPS explains that the billing exchange rate on bills this month is $142.95 to $1 compared to $135.39 in April. Several public passenger vehicles were sanitized today in Montego Bay, St. James. This is part of efforts to reduce the spread of COVID-19.
The Market Street route and the tourist capital got their vehicles sanitized this morning. Member of Parliament for St. James Central, Hugh Clark, says all hands were on deck to ensure everyone is safe.
We are assisting the taximen to show to them that this is what needs to be done. So we're giving free sanitization of the passenger cars, public passenger car, and also to hand them a sanitization bottle of sanitizer and also some mask to say to them that encourage the passenger to practice as best as possible, because we understand that corona can only be passed on to somebody else if we don't practice good hygiene.
Mr. Clark added that more public passenger vehicles, PPVs, will be sanitized.
We are doing all the taxis that traverse the route of Market Street, which is Farm Heights, Rose Heights, Cornwall Courts, all those vehicles, and even private passenger vehicles, if they so choose to be sanitized. So it's not just one area. We'll be moving onto Union Street in short order, where we'll be doing the Sun Valley, the Salt Spring, the Melbourne taxis.
In other jurisdictions, several taxi operators and bus drivers have contracted the coronavirus and died. At least one taximan in St. James also contracted the virus. One taxi operator expressed his gratitude.
It's supposed to sanitize now because we're afraid of this coronavirus thing, you understand me? And we have so many people taking vehicles and we don't know who is who. So the best thing you do, Mr. Clark, big up yourself. I love Mr. Clark, I do. Yeah, because the best thing. We are protect ourselves and protect others.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
The government measure banning mass gatherings as part of efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19 has forced schools to find creative ways to celebrate National Children's Day, and at least one rural school decided to take the celebration to the students. Principal of the Mount Moreland Primary and Junior High School, Tamara Ferron, led a motorcade into several communities served by the school.
We would normally celebrate this day at school, and the fact that school is out, we try to come up with innovative ways, and this platform is just a way to get to them while we maintain our social distance.
Normally we'll be treating them with goodies. Normally we'll give them lighter work for the day, but it continues anyway. We're not going to let COVID prevent us from doing what we normally do.
However, in the midst of the celebration, a grade 6 student raised a concern about the way in which the government will be placing PEP students for the next academic school year. On May 4, Minister with Responsibility for Education, Carl Samuda, said results from the primary exit profile PEP exams from grade 5 will be used for the assessment on placing current grade 6 students in high schools. But Tuan Lee Pitt says he's concerned about the move.
I do not believe that they are going to place us at the right school that we should go, because I'm not sure how good I did on the grade 5, but I was expecting that I did good on the ability and the other test the other PEP tests.
Concerns about PEP there from a student. And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashon Brown. Join us at 7 for a Primetime News package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon and have a great week.